despite the fact, especially in the Western world, where we try to do more and more and more and push each other and push ourselves to do more and to become more and to achieve more, there's simply just a certain amount of things that you can do on a day-to-day basis. Yes, you can try to work more hours, you can try to sleep less or do less other stuff, but in the end, it's not even about time. It's not even about how much time you have or you don't have. From my experience, it's way or much more about the amount of energy and concentration that you have. And that's every day. You only have a certain amount of that. And you can try to push yourself and sit yourself behind your computer or whatever it is that you're doing. But if you don't have the mind capacity, or you don't have the concentration and the energy for it, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter, because I think most people have some experiences of where they just cannot concentrate. Maybe it was even reading a book or studying for something. At some point, there's just no concentration left. There's no energy left. You maybe have sat down for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. And it is just basically a waste of time, because you cannot focus for that amount of time. And the same goes, and it's something that I've definitely learned over the past couple of weeks or last period in my life, that it is super important to not only get rest or take rest, but also just be able to reset and free up some capacity or space in your mind to be able to get new concentration. And if we compare this to, for example, athletes, they also don't train 7 days a week for 10 hours a day, because they know they will get injured. And the same goes also for mind space or mental capacity. You simply cannot do that much. So in spite of the fact that we think that we need to do more, I actually think and try to do less and less. Because if I try to do less and less and try to focus on only 1 or 2, maybe 3 things in a day, I can fully concentrate, put all my energy and effort into that, and actually come up with something useful and something worthful, in spite of trying to do 7 things or 8 things and working from 5 a.m. to, 9 p.m. And only actually be able to work for maybe 4 hours productive. So that's also for me, I think, a big problem where, again, in the Western world, where everybody gets paid on the hour, which I of course also understand to a certain degree, but people just sit there, aren't able to focus, aren't able to work productively, but they have to or need to work 8 hours, otherwise they don't get paid. And of course, in some situations, in some professions and in some companies, I understand that people need to be reachable, or that somebody has to take the phone or answer emails or whatever it is. But it isn't useful. It isn't useful. And I also understand where it comes from, because in the Industrial Revolution, where people worked in factories, which isn't any creative work, with all due respect, but if you just follow certain protocols and certain habits, it's also very difficult to do, and you also don't have a lot of energy, which that's why I also don't really think that's the correct way to go. But at least it isn't very creative work. So that's where I think those 40 hours a week comes from. But it just isn't productive. And if you then think to yourself, yeah, okay, but I have to work 8 hours a day, or 9 or 10, whatever it is, and you just sit there basically doing nothing, or act as if you're doing something but don't do any productive, then what's the point? There's no point for me doing it, and there's also no point for an employer that somebody just sits there and does basically nothing. You cannot expect people to have unlimited amounts of energy, because this simply isn't there. It comes in waves. Some days you feel more energetic, some days you feel less energetic, and on the days that you don't have that same kind of energy, you can try all you want, you can sit all you want at your computer, but nothing comes from it, because you simply don't have that energy, you don't have that concentration. And yes, to a certain degree, maybe thinking about food, drinking, sleeping, etc., you have some influence about your energy levels on a day-to-day basis, but sometimes it just isn't there. Some people always live healthy, but there are also people that don't live healthy that also do have a lot of energy. So it is to a certain degree that you have some influence over it, but basically, as most things in life, there's just not that many control that we as humans have over certain things, and at some point we have to just simply accept that it may be not there today, but maybe it is on another day. Maybe it ain't there on Monday, but maybe it was on Sunday. So I could have worked for a couple of hours on Sunday, full focus, full concentrated, being very productive, doing in maybe 3 hours what I would do in 8 or 10 hours on a bad day. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that there is a lot of pushing and striving and telling people that they're maybe lazy if they don't work enough, and other people, even governments, trying to force work weeks longer than 40 hours, for example, here in Germany. But there is just no point of doing so, because you don't know upfront or in advance when you will have that energy, when you don't have that energy, when you feel good, when you don't feel good. Let's take, for example, again, women that have a certain period in the month where they don't have that energy, where they don't have that concentration, where it's a little bit more, or maybe even a lot more difficult, I don't know, for them. You cannot expect of a woman in that period in the month that they are as productive as they are on other days. So I think, and that's what I'm trying to do again, is try to do less and less, but try to do the things that I'm doing very, very good with all my focus and all my effort and all my attention, so that I'm actually more productive, but also don't burn out, which is also a very good example of today's world, where a lot of people experience burnout because people are keep pushing them, do more, put more pressure on them. And pressure, to a certain degree, of course, is good if it is something that you care about. But if we are completely honest, looking at the world, how many people actually work at a company that makes them feel good, that they really care about, let's say, the thing that they're selling, or the service that they're providing, or whatever. In most cases, people really don't care that much. They are just there because they need a job, which I can understand, but that comes with the fact that you don't have that drive and that same motivation. So the point, again, that I'm trying to make, at least what I'm trying to do, is try to do less and less, but try to force or focus at the moments that I'm working. Try to focus as much of my energy and attention as possible. And sometimes for me, for example, that's at 5 o'clock in the morning, and some other days it's at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But I'm just trying to be flexible and just see how things come and see how things go, and basically go with the flow. And that is what's working very, very well for me. Now, if you have any other experiences about this, or if you feel the same, please share in the comments or send me a message. And for now, again, thank you very much for listening.